Hey, what's up everybody? Seja here. And you know, a lot of people think that the first step in creating an alchemically prepared herbal extract starts off with either, picking your plants, or maybe with distillation, or maybe with tincturing your herb. But for me, I always see the first step in the alchemical process actually is cutting all this firewood because fire is the central element used in alchemy for transformation. The fire element is said to be the most important element utilized in the transformational process of creating herbal medicines, as well as in the higher works of alchemy, mineral and metallic medicines. But I would also argue that the fire element really is the source of all of transformation throughout the natural world. And, I think this is important to consider because everything in alchemy is said to be a reflection of what nature is already doing. And so I remember being out in the woods. I get up real early in the morning and take my chainsaw out and, start cutting down standing dead trees. And I'm always thinking about the fire element. And the other day I was cutting firewood and I was thinking about how, in alchemy they say fire is the core element of transformation, and then alchemy is just a reflection of nature. So how is the fire element transforming nature? And what is fire? Like, where does this fire come from? And as I was pondering it, I realized that really the concept of as above, so below is beautifully reflected in alchemy through fire, because it all comes from the sun. The alchemists say that fire is like a terrestrial form of the solar force up from the sun. And I know that sounds kind of like an esoteric kind of saying, or maybe it sounds kind of woo-woo and out there. But after thinking, if you really think about it, it's actually quite literally true. And the sun is really the central force in our solar system, in our reality, that is behind really all change and all transformation in nature. So if you think about, this stack of firewood behind me, this seed was planted in the earth and it started to grow. And as that plant is growing, it's taking the energy of the sun, the light of the sun, and through the magic, like literally the magic of photosynthesis, plants create structural tissues from light, right? Plants literally transform light into matter through the process of photosynthesis. So if you think of this firewood behind me, it's literally years and years and decades of stored vital force of the sun. It's literally sunlight trapped in material form. And then when you burn that wood, what happens is, like, you look at a flame and it has the same properties as the sun. It's hot and it's dry and it emanates heat and light. Right? So the alchemists saw that fire is the earthly manifestation of the sun. Now, if we think of the sun, it's at the center of our solar system. All of the planetary bodies in our solar system orient around the sun. It's at the center of the system. And a critical aspect in alchemy is, again, this concept of as above, so below. That the macrocosm is directly imprinted and manifest within the microcosm, right? Within us as humans, within plants, within stones, within animals, within everything in the natural world contains that pattern of creation within it. And so in that way, the fire element can be seen as the center of every being, the essence of a thing. It's the light of consciousness, that spark of consciousness, or what traditionally is referred to as the light of nature, is held within everything. And the alchemists referred to this as the secret fire, the secret fire held within at the center of every living thing. And if we think of, this process of transformation, right, of change, really in nature, most cycles of transformation go back to the sun. I mean, thinking of a big picture dynamic of this, like think of the changing of the seasons. Well, the changing of the seasons is directly related to the Earth's position in relationship to the sun, and the way that the Earth is spinning and tilting on its axis and the way it's orienting around the sun is what creates, the different seasons that we experience here on Earth. And it's those seasons that regulate, migratory dynamics of birds, the patterns that animals have, the life cycle of plants, as well as humans, our physiology changes according to the seasons, our thinking and emotional dynamics change according to the seasons. I mean, think of how you feel in the summertime versus how you feel in the winter, right? I mean, it's a very different quality of energy in that time and in that space. And so in that way, the alchemists saw that the sun is really the source of all transformation in the natural world. And something like wood, right? Trees hold, all of this wood here is, like I said, it's that solar energy, that vital force of the sun trapped in material form. So in that way, the wood and trees and fire holds within it that innate dynamic of transformation. And this is why the fire element is seen as the most important element in alchemy. And we're using the fire element for distillation, we use it for calcination, we use it for evaporation, we use it for circulation. All these different processes that are done in alchemical works are only achievable through working the fire element on various degrees, really hot fires to very gentle fires. Now, one of the things, as I mentioned in alchemy, is this concept of the macrocosm and the microcosm. So that fire element uniquely manifests within both people and within plants. So I wanted to take a minute and talk a little bit about how that fire element uniquely manifests within people and plants. So within us, right, just as you said, the sun is at the center of the solar system, so too is it at the center of our own being. And the way that manifests on a physiological level is through the heart. And it makes perfect sense. The sun is shining its light throughout our solar system. It's emanating life, right? It's like through the sun that plants grow and that animals change and everything transforms. As I said, the seasons, it's like the sun is what's distributing the life force down here on Earth. And that's really what our heart does, right? Through the beating of our heart, the circulation of blood, we're distributing blood, oxygen, nutrients, carrying away waste products. The heart is the center of distribution of that life force throughout the body. Another way the fire element manifests within us is through our digestive system, specifically in the small intestine. And this correlates very strongly to a concept from Ayurvedic medicine that we refer to as Agni. And Agni, this principle of Agni in Ayurveda, speaks to the transformational fires of the body. And the way that's typically translated is the transformational property of the digestive system. That in our solar plexus, right, our solar plexus, it's right there in our language, right here in our gut, is this fire, this sun, that basically through the heat activity of hydrochloric acid, of enzymes, of bile, the activity in our digestive system breaks down the components of food into their core nutrients and kind of combusts them in a way so that they can be absorbed and thereby distributed throughout the organism to maintain optimal nourishment and functioning of the different tissues and cells and organs of the body. And that is the core function of Agni on one level. And that's kind of looking almost within a person, that's looking at the macrocosm of Agni as primarily being located in the gut. But Agni has much deeper, more microcosmic reflections as well, in that every cell of your body has Agni, right? In the same way that your digestive system receives food, breaks it down, absorbs it, distributes it, utilizes it, expels waste products, the cell does the exact same process. Each cell absorbs nutrients, digests it, processes it, absorbs it, distributes it, utilizes it, and expels waste products. So that Agni is also, that fire is within every cell of your body. Now, in Ayurveda, they also refer to a particular manifestation of Agni within the mind, right? That there's that Agni also directly relates to your ability to intake experience and digest it and process it into wisdom. And so oftentimes they say it's like there's a link between your gut and your mind, right? And this is very well established by modern science these days. I mean, the whole dynamic around food intolerance directly shows the link between the gut and the mind, in the sense that the primary symptom when someone eats a food they're intolerant to is irritability, depression, frustration, cloudy, like brain fog, things like that. So we can see that there's a link through the fire element between our physiology as well as to our psychology. And of course, there's a deeper level of the way that fire element manifests within us as really as a teacher, right? That each of these elemental forces, the earth, the water, the air, the fire, the ether, all have, you know, these aren't just the fire in your fireplace. This is an archetypal force that is ultimately trying to teach us how to be a better human being, how to evolve. And so that fire element has a lot to do with, you know, the development of courage, of confidence, of believing in yourself, of living in accordance with your heart, of burning away all of the conditioned patterns that aren't true to yourself so that it can burn it down to the essential self, get down to the core of who you are. You think of the way fire radiates. It radiates warmth and radiates light. It's like that's what it teaches us to do. What is it that is supposed to emanate from your heart, right? That fire, it's like, what is it that's supposed to emanate out from you that is light and warmth and ultimately being of service to the greater good? Because when you're connected to the heart, to that secret fire within your heart, everything that emanates from there influences the secret fire or the essence of everything else. And that really is learning to live in accordance with the heart, which is ultimately what I think our whole healing work is all about. Because when we live from the heart, we live from a place that's taking into consideration the greater good, not just our own personal willpower and aspirations and goals and dreams. So that's a little bit about how the fire element manifests within people. And, you know, I think this is a really cool model for understanding the human organism, because it's a translation mechanism, right? Through an elemental model, through an astrological model, you have a cohesive system that directly translates between physiology, your constitution, your organ systems, the state of your tissues, to your psychology, your emotional dynamics, all the way down to the specific evolutionary lessons that your soul needs to learn in order to further its growth and development. And I'm talking about this in a lot more detail in the third training session in the Herbal Alchemy training sessions, where in that third training session, I'm teaching you the overall alchemical herbalism blueprint, of which this elemental model is just but one little piece. You know, I'm kind of taking one snippet of that pattern and opening it up for you so that you can see the implications of how this is a truly holistic model that unites our body, spirit, and soul and connects it to these greater forces of life and nature. So if you're not in the herbal alchemy training sessions, scroll down the bottom of the blog post, or if you're listening to the podcast, head on over to evolutionaryherbalism.com/blog, put your name and email in there and get the herbal alchemy training sessions. This is only going to be available for about another week, so be sure to check it out while we still have that open. It's totally free. There's amazing content available for you in there about this very unique perspective that comes from synergizing the traditional Western alchemical model with your practice of herbal medicine. So check it out. It's only going to be available for a short-term period of time, and I hope to see you in there. So anyways, I want to talk a little bit about how that fire element also uniquely manifests within plants. So the fire element we can see in plants is that, again, that secret fire, that essential nature within the plant, or the light of nature as it uniquely manifests within that plant. And basically what that is what a lot of people might refer to as the spirit of the plant. Or from an alchemy perspective, we would say it's the soul or the sulfur of the plant. It's that unique manifestation of consciousness within that herb. And that's universal across every plant. They have that unique aspect of the fire element within it, right? They have consciousness, basically. But now there's certain herbal medicines that have, I would say, a stronger fire elemental quality held within them. And typically you can see these elemental dynamics within plants through observing them on multiple levels, from, their habitat, where they like to grow, their morphology. So maybe fire element plants like to grow in the south side of the mountain in full facing sun, or in really hot, dry kind of ecosystems. Maybe they have a lot of red or orange coloration to them. Maybe they have a lot of triangular shapes. Maybe their energy kind of moves up and out, right? Like the way the fire moves and up and out. Maybe they have a sharpness to them. Maybe they're kind of prickly or pokey, or kind of have an intensity to them. That is another fire element quality. But we can also bring it into how that plant interfaces with the human organism. So when you taste a fire element plant, you could probably figure that one out, right? It's going to taste hot, right? So a lot of our fire element plants tend to have a very pungent, warming, aromatic quality to them. And what's cool about pungent plants is they predominantly, almost across the board, do two primary things. One, they stimulate Agni, right? They stimulate the digestive fire. And two, they circulate the blood through the cardiovascular system and are oftentimes highly beneficial for the heart. So isn't it curious that a plant that looks a certain way and tastes a certain way and influences the same organs, that all of those things are ruled by that one elemental force? Now, this starts to show you how when you take this energetic architecture model of plants, that you have a way of integrating and linking together all of the different facets of a plant. As I said, from where it grows, to how it looks, to how it tastes, to what organs it influences, to its energetics, right? Which many fire plants are going to be hot and dry and stimulant energetically, to their action on your constitution. All of these things, when I was first studying herbal medicine, it was like, okay, we're going to study the chemistry and the medicinal virtues and what kind of diseases they're good for. And it was like all this separate stuff about a plant. And honestly, I had a really tough time remembering all of that stuff. And it wasn't until I incorporated more of this energetic architecture model where I was able to start to see like the forces of nature, right? The elements and the planets, these forces of nature, as they are uniquely embodied within a botanical being, that I started to see it weaves together all of these various aspects of the plant, and it connects the shape, the color, the texture to its chemistry, to its actions, to its energetics, to its taste, to what types of diseases and symptoms it treats, etc. It weaves it together. And what's so cool about that is that you have one language, right? You have one language that describes the plants. You have one language that describes the people. You have one language that describes the macrocosmic forces of life. And that is what I really see as true holistic herbalism. It's wholeness, right? I've been talking a lot about this dynamic of the whole plant and the whole person in relationship to the whole cosmos. And that to me is what true, real, authentic, holistic herbalism is all about. And the alchemical model takes that concept of holistic medicine to this entire new level of precision and accuracy and potency. So I just wanted to share a little bit about my perspectives on the fire element and how it is this core element of transformation, and how the fire element, just a little bit on how the fire element uniquely manifests within people, within plants, and within the natural world, and how the power of alchemy harnesses that transformational property of fire and utilizes it to create to transform these herbal medicines and create a very unique and powerful form of plant extract that holds that potency of transformation within it, so that when you take it, that plant is going to transform you. And that is really the basis of what alchemical herbalism is all about. Once again, if you are not in the herbal alchemy training sessions, why not? Why aren't you in there? It's totally free. Go check it out. I've got some amazing content in there, 3 in-depth videos. In the second training session that is open now, I'm going to be teaching you how to utilize the fire element to transform the body of plants, and literally the exact alchemical process for creating crystalline mineral salts in your herbs. This is the #1 missing component in literally every form of herbal extract available on the market, as well as missing from a lot of home remedies, because if you finish extracting your herb and you compost the plant when you're done, you're throwing away this body of the plant, this salt principle of the plant. And in that second training session, I'm going to show you the step-by-step process for how you can start to incorporate that in your home medicine making practices, so you can create a truly holistic herbal extract that will work on the wholeness of the person. We also got the 3rd training session available there, where I'm giving you the big picture alchemical herbalism blueprint. This blueprint was everything for me, teaching me how to unite the great herbal traditions of the world, how to link Ayurveda with Chinese medicine, with Western herbalism, with medical astrology, with alchemy, with Greek medicine, with Unani Tib medicine, with physiomedicalism, with modern science. This is literally the blueprint of creation, and how every system of science and medicine and spirituality fits together, so you have a cohesive, comprehensive model of herbal medicine that is all encompassing and equally honors and values and acknowledges and utilizes the spirit and the physical dynamics of both people and plants. Also sharing some really awesome stuff in there about what the practice of alchemical herbalism looks like, and how this process of transformational healing occurs through spagyrically prepared herbal medicines. So it's only going to be available for a short-term period of time. So scroll down, sign up for the herbal alchemy training sessions. We got a thing where you just put your name and email in there. We'll get you access to the training sessions that are open right now, and I would love to see you in there. I would love to help you and serve you on your plant path, so really you can make your difference in the world, so that you can utilize the power and the potency of plant medicine to not just take away symptoms, to not just be another allopathic herbalist, but to really utilize these plants in a way that's bringing about a deeper level of healing in the people that need it the most. Because let's face it, this is so needed at this time. The world is in a crazy place right now, and I believe that it is the healing power of nature and the healing power of plants that hold a great deal of capacity to assist us in turning the sails in a good direction on this planet and make things good, not just for ourselves, but ultimately for our future generations. So I hope to see you in the Herbal Alchemy training sessions. I hope to be able to serve you more through that free series that we're offering now. Leave me a comment. I'd love to hear what you think about this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the fire element. Maybe if there's any plants that you can think of that might be ruled by the fire element, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Scroll down, leave me a comment. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, hit the share button. If you're listening to this on the podcast, do me a favor, leave me a review. If you're enjoying the plant path, leave me a review, leave me a 5-star review if you really like it. We're really trying to get some more reviews on there, so I'd really appreciate that. And again, join me in Herbal Alchemy training sessions, and I look forward to seeing you in there. And until then, take care and be well.